All right, looks like you're being a bit floaty today. Oh, Mr. Model. Let me go ahead and readjust that. Reset position. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we can begin. Salute Terence, everyone! This is Terence here, and today we are going to be interviewing Kaz here. Or should I say, welcome to another episode of Terence Talks, where we're interviewing Kaz here. Which we're going to go ahead and unmute him, and we'll begin our introductions. And unmute myself, too. Alright, Kaz, you're unmuted now?
Hello, everyone.
Yep, could you go ahead and give us an introduction to who you are and what you do?
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Kaz. I am an interdimensional bartender who's afraid of salespeople, a streamer for 4 years now, recently moved from Twitch over to YouTube, and I like playing a lot of video games. I play way too many on my channel, and I guess I also have ADHD.
Ah, yes. Yep, the typical gamer disease right there.
Oh yeah. It's something it's something I've kind of like discovered that I've apparently had for a long time, and suddenly everything makes sense.
Ah, I see. Yips. Okay, that's good. Alright, let's go ahead and pull up our questions, which we have in our good memo on our phone here. And of course, the obvious one is, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I've shaken off the sleep because for those of you who do not know my time zone, it is currently 7 in the morning here. But I've had a few sips of coffee after a bit of a spill, but it's doing much better now.
Ah, that's good. Oh, so you're from the Southeast Asia region / Philippines or Thailand?
Yes, I have shared I have actually been open about like my location is in the Philippines. I don't say specifically where, and people just know that I'm somewhere in that cluster of islands.
Ah, I see. Ah, that's good. I do actually have a few Filipino friends, actually. Cool.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of us, more than more than we are aware of.
Oh, yeah, indeed. That's right, folks. The Filipino VTuber scene is pretty big in the Philippines, as you guys know. We have people like Areku, we have people like Zaylami / Zay, and we also have Sushi, aka Renee Mall. And of course, the most popular Filipino VTuber, which is God Heroes still. Which I hope so. I would hope I was right about that, because I actually kind of lost track of my history.
Yeah, there are some others that like I've had the pleasure of interacting with recently. Uh just to like throw out a few additional names in that list. There's Sabinyani on Twitch. Plays a lot of competitive games like League, Siege, and Valorant.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Vinci, who recently I had a collaboration with on my channel for 100% orange juice and the Purge Dilemma.
Ooh. Ah, that's a nice one. I hear a lot of good things about 100% orange juice.
Oh yeah, it's crazy though.
Ah, I see. Oh, yep, and moving on to our next question. Is this your first time being interviewed?
No, actually, I've been interviewed. There was another uh, what's it called? One True Promotion. It was a small show that was on. Uh, it still is going on, I think, on Twitch and on Instagram. Through a a friend of mine, my former raid buddy. He introduced me to one of his other content creators, and I've had like maybe 2 appearances on the show before.
Ah, I see, I see. Oh, that's good at least.
Yeah, that one was a bit more. I guess it's a bit. That one was a bit more formal compared to this one. It's not super formal, but it was definitely a bit. It felt a bit more like since they've been doing it for a while. It felt like they had kind of like already prepared, structured everything, like templated everything rather for whoever's on the show.
Ah, I see, I see. Oh, yep. Nice to see that you had some connections to get on there, huh?
Oh yeah, it was a very unlikely connection. Like, I just joined that guy for like he formed a raid group, which I was part of for like I think 5 years, over 2 expansions, and then afterwards he himself had an appearance on the show, and then I asked him if he could also introduce me, and he was happy to.
Ah, that's good, that's good. Oh, what a nice guy, huh?
Oh yeah, Wobbling. He's also a FF14 streamer. More so than me nowadays. He plays the game more than I do. I've taken a break from the game for a reasonable amount of time.
Ah, nice, nice. I'm not much of an MMO player myself, but the ones I usually play have very action-oriented combat, like Black Desert or PSO2.
Both of which I have actually played. Like, I played Black Desert like years ago. Wasn't an entire fan because like the combat looks great, but it was the feeling of the hits that kind of like didn't sit right with me. And then for PSO2, I've been meaning to go back, but every time I do, it's like it feels like I'm going nowhere. And it's like, where am I supposed to go again? And I get completely lost, and then just get blinded by everyone's particle effects along the way.
Ah, yep, understandable, of course. Yeah, my thing with the newest expansion, New Genesis, is that it kind of started off with a lot of incomplete content, but as I kept playing it, it actually started expanding on the content, and I actually somewhat finished the story, which is rare that I actually do in MMOs nowadays.
Oh yeah, like what I played NGS when it first like released, and I played through the story. They had like one really hard boss fight, and then there was nothing after that. So I didn't really know what much to do. And this is already after I had sunk in a considerable amount of time to the base PSO2. Well, considerable being like a month or so, and I'd invested quite a bit. I liked the gameplay, but everything changed, and then suddenly it's like, what am I doing now? I don't even know like how to build, and that's part of the reason I dropped the game, because it felt like it's all too much happening. There's so many changes that you have to deal with at switching from base PSO2 to NGS that it just it got confusing for me, aside from the lack of content.
Yep, understandable, of course. Alright, on to our next question. What are your hobbies?
Well, hobbies are, well, number one, gaming, obviously. Gaming and streaming. I do also occasionally watch anime. I'd like to draw more if I actually could, bring myself to pick up the tablet pen. It's mostly that. It's sometimes the occasional dancing, like at the gym and stuff, but it's mostly just gaming, anime, and that's it. That's my life.
Ah, nice, nice. Oh, nothing wrong with that. That's pretty much how I am now, too. It's either...
That's how a lot of people ended up after 2019, especially.
Oh, yep, indeed. Yep. Of course, my hobbies also involve gaming and watching anime. I also watch a few things on Hulu and Crunchyroll when I get time, as well as Netflix. And of course, some stuff on YouTube as well. And then occasionally we do house chores as well.
Oh yeah, you never forget your chores. It's happened. I've forgotten, and family never lets me live it down.
Oh, yep, indeed, indeed. Oh, yep, and let's go on to our next question. Alright, well, this was an obvious one, but do you play video games?
No, I'm a streamer that does not play video games in the regular. Totally ignore that. I just recently finished Sonic Frontiers.
Ah, nice, nice. Oh yeah, congratulations on beating Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, thanks. It's a fun game, but I have like a lot of mixed emotions about it, and I spent like a good, I think maybe 5 minutes ranting about it during the credits screen, where I had the agency to rant about the game.
Ah, I see, I see. I usually just enjoy the endings whenever I beat the games. But yes, I did end up beating Sonic Frontiers a good couple months ago as well.
Oh yeah, but like since there's like that long lull in like the ending credits, like they have that little teaser, the little like stinger that pops up at the end, like in the middle of the credits, and then the rest of the time it's just credits rolling. Like I use that in games usually where they have the long credits roll. I like to use that time to share my thoughts on the game, like my immediate thoughts on the game. Taking into consideration, okay, I've been playing this for how long, and I did this much. Am I good with this? Do I like this game?
Oh, yep, that's what I do as well. Of course, of course. Oh, yep, and then there's also... Oh, not sure if you've seen the news, but they're actually having another content update with Sonic Frontiers now. Are you gonna play that too?
Most likely. Actually, yeah, I did see the announcement for that. Here's the funny thing. I haven't watched the trailer, but I am definitely going to be playing the new content when it does come out. That was partially the reason I kind of went on a recent binge of Sonic Frontiers. I had played through 6 streams of it, and then there's only like 2 islands left. I thought like, oh, I can surely finish this in one more stream, right? Nah, that's why. But I was determined to finish it before the DLC came out at the end of the month.
Ah, nice, nice. Yep, that was almost kind of like me too. I was also in a bit of a hurry to beat it as well. And I did end up pretty much getting all the mini games in the islands, but of course, I did not want to do that hellish pinball mini game ever again.
Oh yeah, oh my god, the pinball game was probably my least favorite of all the stuff you could do in the game. That and well, okay, maybe the hacking mini game wasn't so bad. It just felt like, you know, Sega wanted to try being near Automata for like 5 minutes.
Ah, yips. Oh, for me, it was kind of more like Space Invaders meets another shooting game called Ikaruga.
Oh, those sound familiar, yeah.
Yips. Oh yeah, Ikaruga's a shooter game where you pretty much switch between your ship between black and white, and you also fight enemies that are also black and white too, so you have to constantly switch polarities in order to kill most of the enemies and bosses.
which makes me wonder if like wait, was Ikaruga made by Sega? Did they just kind of like pull that from like classics and turn that into a mini game?
Most likely now.
Nope, it's by Treasure.
Yep, it's by Treasure.
Quick Google search.
Which, of course, Treasure also made a few games for the Sega Genesis as well. Yep, that shows how long I've been gaming, folks.
That seems like a long time. I was gaming like since the 90s on my end.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of more gaming, what are your favorite video game genres?
Oh, well, initially when I started streaming, I thought like my top one my all-time favorite would always be JRPGs, and it still is, but kind of sharing the slot now, from what I've noticed, it's JRPGs, well, with sort of an actiony gameplay style. And also there's also shooter games. I've recently enjoyed playing more of the solo story type shooter games like Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts and Ghost Recon Wildlands. I've actually felt that I've started to delve more into that, but usually those are the two types of games I end up playing a lot on my channel. If it's not a JRPG like one of the many Tales games that's available on PC, I play. I've now been diving more into some of the Tom Clancy stuff, like The Division. Good lord, and now, like I said, Ghost Recon Wildlands is a recent favorite of mine.
Ah, I see. Oh yeah, good choices. For me, of course, I always pretty much play action RPGs on the channel, stuff like Monster Hunter and whatnot, as well as
Monster Hunter.
Almost everything Nintendo and Nintendo Switch related. And of course, I also covered Fantasy Star Online 2 quite a bit.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that off stream, weren't we?
Oh yep, definitely. And then there's but recently I've also been diving into survival games that are very combat heavy, like Valheim and Craftopia. And also been picking up some other farming sims like Fae Farm, which came out like a week ago now.
And the only farming-ish, if you can count it, simulator I've played regularly as of late is like, it's usually it has to be if it's gonna be a farming-ish game, it has to have an additional twist to it for me, because those games you've mentioned, I can't get into those unless there's something else that happens in it. Like the ones I played are 7 Days to Die and Project Zomboid, if those count as like farming-ish games.
They have farming mechanics in them. But I wouldn't call
it's
them.
not the main mechanic, definitely.
Yeps. But yeah.
But you can turn it into a farming game if you have the right mods. When my friends and I go nuts on the mods we include in that game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yep, moving on to our next question, which is also video game related. Who's your favorite video game character?
Oh, that's a toughie. Of all the games I've played over the years, they're not exactly my favorite, but there's definitely a character that resonates with me a lot personally, because it's something that I resonated with this one particular JRPG character ever since playing the game from high school to college.
Mm-hmm.
Yosuke Hanamura from P4.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of and this might sound like a very I don't know, confidence issue kind of thing, but the reason I felt very resonant with Yosuke was the fact that at the time I felt that in my role in everyone else's life was as the best friend, as the side character, as the supporting cast, and to this day I still kind of relate to Yosuke a lot because he definitely wants to be there for people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why P4 is definitely one of my top games, but like, and it's mostly because of Yosuke and how much I relate to him.
Ah, I see. Oh, yep, definitely good reason right there. He's a really good character as you pretty much get to know him.
Oh yeah.
As someone who's probably never played Persona 4 but watched the animes, I can definitely see why people like him.
Yeah. Like I do appreciate as well that Atlas has mostly kept his character intact, although they memed on him a bit in like the fighting game sequels.
Ah, yep. Oh, which were the fighting game sequels? Was it like, what were they called again?
Persona 4 Arena was the first one. The second one was Persona 4 Ultimax.
Ah, okay.
Both of which, if I'm not mistaken, are available on Steam as well.
Ah, nice. Oh yeah, I did see some footage on them. Yep, they look pretty cool. As someone who barely plays fighting games nowadays. I used to now, but not anymore.
Yeah, I used to as well. Like, I guess I sometimes do just for the hell of it, but I used to play it a lot more, like, back in college. But nowadays I play just one, very rarely. It's Tekken 7. And yes, I'm actually excited for Tekken 8 because I gave it a try, and I kind of want to get it, but it's just so fucking expensive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, Jin versus Kazuma, let's go. Finally get that story over with.
Oh yeah, I'm more of a Hwoarang main though. I've been a Hwoarang main since Tekken 7. Tekken 7 was when I kind of learned characters more in depth beyond just mashing one button. So after that I kind of like, oh cool. So I just ended up I gravitated towards Hwoarang since Tekken 3, and then he became my main in 7, and will probably still be my main in 8.
Ah, nice. Yep, sounds about good. Oh yeah, but I'm kind of curious about what the other modes Tekken 8 will have too. So I'll probably keep that on my wish list as well. Along with Street Fighter 6.
Oh yeah, the Street Fighter was one I could never really get into fully. I've tried like the only Street Fighter I could actually enjoy was its Third Impact, I think it was called, or Second Impact, I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, I played like the old school Street Fighter with friends, and then anything after that I just couldn't properly enjoy. Even the Tekken Street Fighter crossover, it wasn't exactly to my liking.
Oh, yep, understandable. Yep, I haven't played it myself, but I definitely heard mixed things. Although I think my first Street Fighter games would have to be Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which had were those the ones that had T-Hawk, DJ, and Cammy in it? I think those the ones. And then
I'm not sure. Like, I've been so out of touch with Street Fighter.
And then I believe the last ones I did remember playing were Street Fighter Alpha.
The Alpha. I saw images of that. Like, This is how old I am. Back in the days of gaming magazines and publications that were like physical magazines you could buy. That was like Alpha was at the time was one of the games I was like in. I think it was there was a local magazine that was published, and that was one of the games that was on the cover. Unfortunately, I didn't have the console to play it, so.
I see. Yep, moving on to our next question now. What anime do you watch?
Anime, anime I tend to watch a lot of more the action story focused stuff. Not entirely shonen, but like recent examples would be Mushoku Tensei. I kind of caught up to it and am hooked. And then the other examples would probably be like Zom 100, if you can count that. Well, that's more of a comedy, but I do like anime that can kind of put a sort of different spin or has something interesting beyond just being your typical anime tropes.
Oh, yep, understandable. Of course, Mushoku Tensei and Psalm 100 are ones I'm also watching recently. Specifically the second season of Mushoku Tensei. We finally caught up to season 1.
I still haven't caught up to season 2 yet. Like, I'm a few episodes behind. I think the last one I watched was episode 7. I'm just about to start episode 8, and they're like, I know that on Netflix there's like 11 episodes out.
Nice.
Another example, like, I'm not a huge fan of isekai anime, but one of the animes that did kind of interest me was World's Finest Assassin reincarnated as an aristocrat. The reason I like that one and why I like sometimes I'm willing to watch, for lack of a better term, trashy isekai anime is if they have a moment where if they have more than one moment where they can explain the mechanics of magic in their world. Because a lot of isekai anime, they just throw you into a world and it's like, boom, there's magic. But what I like about anime, like and these are gonna be like some very trashy picks, because they aren't, I'm gonna give the disclaimer that these anime I'm about to mention are not great in terms of plot. World's Finest Aristocrat, like I said, ends on a cliffhanger, and it has you wanting more. It's also not the most amazing. And there's also Bastard Teacher at Magical School, I think it's called. Both of those anime involve at more than one segment where they go in depth into the magical system of that world. Like Bastard Teacher has a moment where they say you can manipulate magic depending on what words you use, but also it's based entirely on your intent. Whereas World's Finest Assassin treats it like not just learning another language, but also like mathematics. They input mathematics into their magic, and that just blew my mind at the time.
Oh wow, definitely. Yep, so I guess that means World's Finest Assassin has a pretty complex magic system, huh?
Yeah, it does delve into it, not super often, but at the times it does spend a good amount of time actually going in depth, and that's what I appreciate about that show, rather.
Yeah. Yep, I also seen it too. It was okay to say the least. And I think the other thing I kind of liked about it is that the goddess actually started reincarnating professional people instead of just lucky weebs and neats.
Oh yeah, I think that's another thing that was like unique about it. It broke away from the typical, hey, let's pick the least likely person to be reincarnated, the least skilled, and then let's reincarnate them. No. They went, yeah, let's just make an assassin reincarnate into another world.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, there was also the I think this is an example of an anime I really disliked, despite the fact that it did delve into magic a bit. I don't. It wasn't on Netflix, but it came out like years ago. It's called Knights and Magic. Knights, as in the ones with the swords and the armor.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that actually.
Oh yeah, it seemed interesting at first, but then they just kept hand waving a lot of things, and they abused the main character powers way too much. It's like, yeah, this is getting repetitive and boring.
Oh yeah, understandable, of course. Oh yeah, I think the thing that I kinda like about it is that it's one of the very few isekais that actually has mechs in it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely unique, and I think that was also one of the reasons I stayed, because they mixed magic with programming and engineering, a very unlikely combination, but they made it work.
Yeps. Yep, I'll pretty much give it credit for doing at least something different with isekais, because many of them do feel like harems disguised as a redemption arc.
Oh yeah, that's been a trend of isekais since like long ago. And for those of you who think that might have only been a recent trend, go back to the 90s and watch stuff like what is it? Would Groove Adventure Rave count as isekai? I don't know, because they did have an isekai moment. But like the whole harem, like isekai being hidden as a harem, it's been going on for a long time. It was actually much worse in the 90s and early 2000s. Zero no Tsukaima, oh my god, that's a classic that is simultaneously beloved and trashy.
Oh yes, yes. Oh, Abaddon says, I did not like the ending of that mecha isekai anime. Oh yep.
Oh,
it was a weird ending indeed.
What ending? That's my reply to that. What ending?
Yep, exactly, I guess. Of course, I think we can probably move on to our next question now.
By all means, go ahead.
Oh, how did you get into... Oh, looks like I skipped a few questions, actually. How did you get into video games?
Ooh, back when I was a kid, as everyone would probably say, my parents got me a PlayStation 1. That was like the first console I ever played, and I was completely enamored by it. We started out with games like NBA Jam and Fighting Force, but then I then found, like, in a weird pile of games from my uncle, I found a game called Final Fantasy IX, and that intrigued me. Granted, I was like, what, less than 10 years old at the time, didn't understand a lick of it, but the game looked cool. And then from there, I just kind of like leaned more while my brother leaned more towards sports. Me growing up into the bartender I was more into like the video game stuff, and so and now I'm like fully leaning into it.
Ah, nice. Oh, that's good, actually. So, your family mostly plays sports games now, and you pretty much decided to
Oh no, not sports games. They are into like normal stuff. Like it's not a stretch to say that my family is mostly normies, and I'm technically I'm the abnormal one in my family.
Oh yeah,
because I'm the one that likes yeah, I'm the one that likes video games, anime, stuff that they think is kind of like juvenile at my age. But I'm full geek, and I've embraced it.
Ah, nice. Yep, understandable, of course. Yeah, as for myself, how I got into games, I'd say my older brother and my dad pretty much made me play with them most of the time. And I've been pretty much playing games since the Sega Genesis days and the Super Nintendo days.
Ooh, you have a longer history than I do then.
Yep. And I think the first game that I remember playing would have to be one of the Sonic the Hedgehog games. I think it was Sonic 2 around that time. And I'd say what got me into that game was how cool Sonic was and how fast he was in his personality around that time. And I think my first Super Nintendo game would have to be Super Mario World, which every time I pretty much went home from school from elementary school, we always had to go over our grandmother's house to pretty much tie ourselves over with the Super Nintendo inside the basement and pretty much played that game till our parents came home.
Ooh. Yeah, that's like that's definitely how it was like for me as well. Except I had the benefit of actually having my own console, so that was kind of like the same with me. For Sonic the Hedgehog, I do agree, really cool character. But my first exposure wasn't through his video games; it was through the TV series.
I see.
Oh, I watched, like, as a kid, I was exposed to like every single one. There was the Sonic the Hedgehog where he was like with the Resistance and all that, Sally the Fox, I believe. And then there was the typical Saturday morning cartoon one where it was a bit more rounder in shape, very akin to the classic Sonic. There's that recent Sonic game, I forget, Sonic, not Colors. They had a Sonic game that was recently released that had like classic Sonic with a round body and stuff. And then my favorite one, Sonic Underground.
I see. Nice. Oh yeah, I heard about Sonic Underground, and I seen like a few clips of it, and I definitely liked how more menacing Eggman is in that one. Or Dr. Robotnik.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and a dude who overthrows the throne and just wants to kill the queen and her children. Oh my goodness. It's the darkest that Sonic ever went, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you know, barring Shadow the Hedgehog. But we don't talk about that one.
Of course. We don't talk about the Edgelord. Yep.
Like, to be fair, he's written well when the writers don't try to make him like very edgy and stuff. But when they do make him edgy, it's just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a meme.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a fun time.
Indeed. Just make fun of how much he doesn't have a personality.
Oh yeah.
Oh yep. All right, moving on to our other question. How did you get into watching anime?
How did I get into watching anime? Probably like how everyone else did, which like you'd catch just one very weird episode of something on cable TV, and then from there you're just like, what is this? And you start wanting to watch more. I think the very first anime I watched was probably either Cooking Master Boy or Flame of Recca. It was showing on cable TV, and it looked so visually different from every other cartoon, like your typical cartoons that were showing on like Cartoon Network at the time. And I'm just like, whoa. So from there I just got more and more curious. I stepped out of anime for a while in elementary, then got back into it thanks to a senior of mine in high school, and then just went full weeb after that.
Oh, nice. Oh, yep, I can definitely relate to that as well. I'd say the first anime that I pretty much ended up watching was Dragon Ball Z from Toonami.
Ooh, this is gonna sound very blasphemous of me, despite me saying I'm an anime fan. I have not and will not watch any of the Dragon Ball anime. I am so sorry to the fans of the Dragon Ball fan base, but I cannot watch it.
Mm-hmm. No problem, no problem. Oh, is there a reason?
Yeah, for me, it's just I'm not into the art style, and also there's like so many Dragon Ball incarnations. Of like, oh boy, this is gonna be a lot to catch up to.
Ah, yep, understandable, understandable. Oh yeah, I can kind of see that perspective as well. Of course, what appealed me to Dragon Ball was definitely the characters as well as the power-ups. The really coolness of it. Around the time, of course. Now, I think I have a greater appreciation for Dragon Ball now that I've actually seen the very first Dragon Ball to Z, then GT, which the less said about GT, the better for a lot of people. And Super, which I think a lot of people now have issues with Super, but I did kind of like it for what it was. And I think the biggest issue that I personally have with Super is how they pretty much messed up Goku's character entirely.
Oh yeah, there is someone I follow who's a huge fan of Dragon Ball, and I remember that they did kind of like rant about that for a while on Twitter.
Oh, yips.
Yeah.
But apart from Dragon Ball, the other anime that I've also watched is the original Pokemon.
Ooh, original Pokemon. I don't think I watched like the first maybe 25 or 30 episodes of Pokemon and like caught a few bits and pieces in between. Because it wasn't on local TV here where I am. I had to buy that from like on VCD. So I missed out because they didn't release every arc here. I pretty much missed out on watching Pokemon entirely. I've heard I heard he's no longer 10 years old though. That's all I know.
Yeah. Of course. Yep, his journey finally wrapped up a good while ago, actually.
Oh, that's good. At least they finally wrapped it up.
Yep, after a good couple of years now. Specifically 20.
20 years, oh my god. I had like that was like my it's not exactly a gripe, but it was a funny little rant I made back in college of like how is it that he is still considered 10 years old after how long he's been journeying. Like, how long is a year in the Pokemon universe?
Oh, yep, I think I made those jokes too. Like, this guy has to be freaking about 17 or 18 or 20 for as long as he's been journeying, and he still looks like a freaking 10-year-old. He may as well be like the Peter Pan of anime.
Let's not forget there's also like the whole how old were some of his supposed love interests at the time.
Yep, how old were they too? I mean, have they aged now?
Like, I know that like there was Misty. People thought that Misty was his love interest, and then we're just like, excuse me, that is not the body of a 10-year-old. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Yep, too funny right there. Oh yeah, the other animes I've also watched were Digimon as well.
Digimon, oh my. That one was I was more into than Pokemon for a while. Even played the video games. Good and bad.
Ah, nice. I don't think I played that many Digimon games, but I do remember the first one was the one I did play was Digimon World for the PlayStation.
Digimon World. I played, what was it? There's Digimon Battle Arena, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Battle something. There was like a fighting game that came out, and like you could evolve mid-fight, and pretty much it was a race of like either you knock them out or like out of the arena, or you evolve first and then use your finisher. That was pretty much what the race was. I just forgot the exact title.
Ah, I see. Understandable, of course. Oh yeah, the other Digimon fighting game I do know was the one that was also similar to Super Smash Brothers.
I think that was the one, yeah. Rumble Arena, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I played. Sorry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and it is the one that's pretty much like Super Smash Bros. They legit have like stages that very much emulate Super Smash Brothers stages. before people started introducing mods to Super Smash Brothers that put every character into the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yep. I think we can move on to our next question. Who's your favorite anime character?
Favorite anime character? Okay. I can't really answer, because if I'm asked to recall, I can't think of every single one. I can only name a few that I like, but I can't say which one is my top favorite.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking like waifu, Hinata's like the OG waifu from Naruto.
Oh yeah, of course.
If we're talking about like recent stuff I've watched, I would say I am pretty much, for like going back to Mushoku Tensei, out of all the waifus that you can pick from there, I think I am an Eris simp for that one. And then of course it's like for male characters, I guess Roy Mustang is a good example for male characters.
Ah, yeah.
It's hard for me to pick just one as my favorite, because I just like anime in general, and so I can't really pick a top one. Not currently anyway. I might have to think that through and then write it down next time someone asks me that question.
I see. Yep, that's understandable, of course. There's a lot of good ones out there. As for myself, I think, I want to say recent one would have to be, Thorfinn from Vinland Saga.
Vinland Saga. I've heard great things about it. Just haven't gotten around to watching it. Not sure if I will, because I have too much on my watch list already.
Ah, okay.
But do tell. Tell me about that character.
Yep, so Thorfinn pretty much starts off as a character who was hell-bent on getting revenge for his father's killer. But his father's killer ends up pretty much teaching him how to fight, as well as being somewhat of a parent to him. And he constantly challenges him over and over again until he eventually wins, of course. But he's too strong for him, of course. But so he ends up staying with his group, pretty much carrying out his missions, as well as, well, not really missions, they're more like villages where he pretty much kills people and just takes over villages and takes their stuff. And then he eventually sees him die by one of the people he's escorting. And then after he sees him die, he pretty much ends up becoming a slave in the second season. And he's pretty much given up on all life and pretty much spent most of his time there working as a slave. But then, as time goes by, he eventually starts opening up. to a friend he made, a farmer friend he made named Einar, and tells him about his past and such. And they pretty much work on his issues and his demons, and then he becomes very, very pacifistic, if that's a word. He becomes more of a pacifist to say he swears he'll never let anyone die or kill anyone ever again, while still keeping his training and stuff. And so he pretty much ends up meeting the person who ends up killing the guy, who's pretty much a king now, and pretty much meets up with him to cease his attack on the farm that he was a slave to. And then the king actually, out of respect for him, says no after a long heated debate. And then they end up leaving. So he pretty much grows into a character who pretty much let's see, it's a bit hard to explain actually. Who goes from being a bloodthirsty killer to a pacifist with a bit of willpower to him.
Understandable.
Yep, and that's pretty much his entire character.
You love those.
Yep.
You love the character growths, yeah.
Yep, very nice character growth right there. So I think that'll be a decent reason to watch it. He is pretty badass when he is when he's bloodthirsty too.
I'll think about it because, like I said, there's a lot I want to watch, and when I did see the initial trailer for Vinland Saga, people are singing praises, yeah, but the art style doesn't fully appeal to me. Rather. That's why it's like, it's not exact. If I do plan to watch it, it won't be high on my to watch list. And I rarely watch anime nowadays, as is.
Ah, yep, understandable. I watch like a select few anime. Oh, yep, on to our next questions. Have you learned anything from video games or anime?
Oh yeah, I could definitely say that. Like, empathy is definitely one of the things that I've learned from, or I've kind of developed from watching anime and playing video games, because it usually, I like to absorb stories and try to understand it to the best of my ability. That's to say that sometimes I'm wrong, of course, in how I interpret the story, but anime and video games, with the way that they tell their stories, has kind of taught me that there are different perspectives. Some people will have the wrong perspective doing something. They have good intent, but their perspective on doing that action is usually affected by something else, like their drive, and some people may just be hurting, and that's why they hurt others. So like,
yeah,
trying to be that empathic towards another person is what makes me kind of it's kind of something that anime taught and developed in me, I guess. And this isn't to say that like non-anime stuff doesn't have that. It does. It's just that I grew up watching more anime, so that's kind of what it taught me. That and how to draw a bit.
Yep, understandable, of course. Oh, yep, very good, very good. Yeah, I'd say video games and anime pretty much taught me about empathy as well. But not to the overly deep levels. But nothing too deep, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
Alright then, on to our next question. Oh, what books do you read?
None. I have not read a book, like an actual physical book. I have not read anything for like at least a decade, ever since everything's gone digital. I used to like. If you're asking me like for books I used to read that I can recommend, there is a book series that I feel is kind of underrated. It's Cirque du Freak. It's a gothic vampire young adult novel series of novels that I feel is very underrated. If you've ever heard of a movie called The Vampire's Assistant, that it was based on Cirque du Freak. Please don't let that movie speak for the book series, because that movie did not fulfill the book properly. So I'll take that as, if you want to, for a recommendation, that's definitely something to pick up, and it's better to consider that over the movie adaptation. Definitely.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I haven't heard of that movie, but it definitely sounds like it would be pretty bloody and gory.
Not really. The movie was, it had the typical rated T for teen level of violence, i.e. being there wasn't a lot of it. The most violence it had was like, hey, guess what? I'm a vampire. That's it. But it didn't have, despite it having vampires, or it's supposed to be about vampires, I don't remember it having a lot of blood. The books, on the other hand, are definitely a lot more detailed.
Ah, I see. Okay, good to know. Oh, yep, as for myself, I pretty much read a lot of children's books when I was a kid, so I don't think I've touched any books since then, unless you count video game magazines.
Oh yeah, there's always those.
Yips. Alright, on to our next question, of course. What's your favorite food?
Ooh, home cooking, courtesy of my mom. That's my favorite food.
Ah, nice. What does your mom usually...
But in general, anything with beef is usually like my favorite. So like stroganoff, burgers, stew, anything that's beef in it is usually my favorite.
Ah, I see. Oh, what does your mom usually cook?
Well, lately we've had to kind of like switch things up. We've resorted to more keto-friendly dishes because we recently found out she has diabetes. But recent creations would include mapo tofu, tofu sisig. Tofu is another thing I really love. People are gonna say, "Ew, that's gross," but no, I love tofu. What else? There's tofu. There's white chicken, I guess. It's like some recent stuff that we've eaten that I really like from her.
Ah, that's nice, actually. I don't think I heard of white chicken, unless it's from the meat.
Oh no, it's just like the typical like it's a Chinese dish. It's like it's just chicken cooked in like very simple chicken breast sliced up, cooked in chicken stock, and then served with like scallions. It's a very healthy dish. And I'm pretty sure I'm remembering the ingredients wrong, but it's according to my mom, it's very simple to make. Anyone can make it.
Ah, okay. I'll have to look that up someday.
Yeah, it's but my mom has had a good record of making food that's not just very filling, but also can be healthy. She needs to make it healthy now because of her diabetes, but she's always tried to make food that is both healthy and tastes good.
Ah, that's good. That's good, at least. Trying to make a balance between healthy and delicious.
Yep.
Yips. Oh yeah, I'd say my mom's cooking is kind of the opposite of that, but she barely cooks most of the time. But of course, as for my favorite foods, I pretty much like everything beef and chicken related most of the time. From hamburgers, fried chicken, hot dogs. You know, typical American stuff.
Oh, I envy like those in the US. Your food is great. Is it potentially like life-threatening? Yes, but I feel that that's part of the charm.
Yep.
Like I'll never forget that my cousin who lives there, I asked them, like, for my birthday, I want you to take me to the most American place you can imagine. The greasiest foods. I potentially want to die tonight. Brings me to Red Robin.
Yep. Red Robin, yum.
Oh yeah, and the burgers were amazing, and then they had like the thickest milkshake. I couldn't even drink it through the straw. I had to wait for it to thaw before I could use the straw.
Oh yeah, we do have milkshakes like that too. And
Yeah, that's why, like, I envy you guys, because like the branches that you guys open, that the American companies open here, quality pales in comparison to like the actual branches there in the US. As someone who's had the pleasure of trying McDonald's both here and over there, it's just it's so different.
I see. Yep, very understandable, of course. I also say that the most American thing that milkshake that I kind of tried was a Reese's milkshake where it had like little Reese's pieces inside the milkshake, and then you pretty much drank it and it actually tastes like a Reese's cup. It was probably like the best milkshake that I had, actually.
Reese's, damn.
Yep, it wasn't from a Red Robin's, it was actually from a place called Sheets, which I ordered on Uber Eats from a while back.
Well, that's something I'm gonna like mark for the next time I go over there to the US. Stuff I want to try.
Yep. Of course, I think another American place I'll recommend is Applebee's as well.
That's funny because I've heard both good and bad things about Applebee's.
Yep, usually mixed things about food places.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, another one would probably be Outback Steakhouse, if you like steaks.
Outback. We had an Outback here. Wait, I think the Outback here closed. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of eating at Outback, but I heard it's good, but also it's like hella expensive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say the most expensive things we have at Outback would be the filet mignons, as well as probably some of the full meals that you get with those. So those are usually the most expensive steaks. But it's been a while since I checked their menu, so I think they probably might have something more expensive there. They probably might even have Wagyu there, which I hear is very, very, very expensive.
Ooh, don't get me started on Wagyu. Like, I recently had like a dizzy spell from eating too much Wagyu.
Ah, I see. Oh, I hope you didn't get too sick from it.
Oh, I nearly passed out. Like, to be fair, prior to eating the Wagyu, I did also have like, well, in the Philippines we call it chicharron, but like over there you guys know it as pork rinds. But the version I had also had fried pig fat attached to it. So it's chicharron with fat, and then I ate a whole bunch of Wagyu, which, as we know, is marbled fat, and yeah, I nearly passed out. Not doing that again.
Yep, understandable, of course. Oh, yep. Let's move on to next question, which is all VTuber related. And our first one is,
Sure.
What's your biggest inspiration for being a VTuber?
Biggest inspiration for being a VTuber. Well, HoloLive is definitely. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna say HoloLive, but that's one of the ones I follow in terms of like what kind of content creator I'd like to be.
Mhm.
I'm still shaking off a lot of like I've been streaming for 4 years, but I still try to shake off some nerves and try to be a bit more presentable and confident, like how they do on HoloLive. And the way specifically Fubuki is definitely worth mentioning because she's so, how do I say, confident in who she is that she's willing to just say anything that comes to mind, and she doesn't always consider like whether that's gonna get, she doesn't worry as much as I do about like being clipped out of context or being turned into a joke. Like, I'm not saying this to be mean. It's more of like she's so confident in herself and how she does things that that's kind of what I want to aspire to be. There's also Suisei because I love her performances, how she really does do well when it comes to singing. Like, those two are like top inspirations of the kind of VTuber I want to be eventually when I can actually afford it. Because as we all know, VTubing ain't cheap.
Yep, it's not. Oh yeah, as for myself, I'd say I've been around the VTubing scene for about maybe 2017, and the first VTuber I seen around that time was Kizuna Ai. One of the...
Oh yeah, how do we all forget her?
Oh, yep. And I'd say, after watching some of her stuff, I'd say, as well as some other English VTubers as well, she was probably one of the content creators that I wanted to be. Mostly just for the sake of connecting with other people as well.
Yeah, it's funny how like how big VTubing has become for me. It's like at first the biggest name at the time was Kizunai, which a lot of people thought was weird. It's like streaming as an anime avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually just blew up into like one of the biggest forms of content creation nowadays, where almost everyone you know is now a VTuber. Like, even people who weren't exactly VTubers before, when they stream now, they do have VTuber avatars. Like Jaden Animations and Domix, YouTubers that I grew up with on the animation scene, are now VTubers.
Yeps.
And then there are other like non-agency VTubers that are also very great that kind of flew under the radar but blew up along with the boom of VTubers. Girl DM being one of them. Girl DM's amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then there's also the thing where everyone just became a VTuber, whether you were a flesh tuber before or not. Like, for lack of a better term, flesh tuber. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm just saying that like for people who used their faces before, and then they all just became VTubers after that. Some stayed as VTubers because they love anime. Others dropped the VTuber thing because they were just following the trend.
Oh, yep. Yep, I think Cutie Pie and Acme was pretty much one of them.
Cutie had a VTuber avatar? I did not know that.
Oh, yep, he was pretty much just doing it as a bit of a joke to make fun of other people.
That don't sit right with me.
Oh, yep, indeed. And, Pat Me, kind of stopped after a while. I think she just wanted to jump on the trend as well and just stopped.
Wait, who? Wait, I don't recognize the second name you said.
Oh, she's one of the more popular female streamers / flesh streamers. It's hard to say her name. Let's see. Was it Padme or something?
Padme as in like Star Wars Padme?
Yep, like that one. She kind of looks like her. It's a bit tough to say her name, but what was it? Akame or something? One of those two.
I'll have to look into that. Like, I'm curious about that. But yeah, it's still funny how like that's what VTubing's become. It's like it's not just a trend anymore. It's like its own genre. Of course,
yep.
It becoming that is kind of the reason I had to move from Twitch to YouTube.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Moving on to our next question. How did you come up with your name?
That's a funny story. So back in college, I had a group of friends that were also part of a school organization. At the time, I did a half-assed cosplay to help promote the organization. I did a half-assed cosplay of Shizuo Heiwajima. They couldn't remember my actual name, so they just nicknamed me Shizuo. That's part one. Second, I then later cosplayed Kara Yamato from Fate Zero. And with those two characters being like the ones I was known for cosplaying among my friend group, it eventually got changed to Kazuo. And then when I became a streamer, I shortened it to just Kaz because I then came up with the phrase, "Welcome to the Kaz Bar" as like my streaming place, and the name just stuck. So I've evolved from Shizuo to Kazuo to Kaz.
Ah, nice.
It's like a Pokemon.
Yep, very Pokemon related stuff there.
Yeah, you go blonde, then white hair, and then suddenly, boom! I'm a bartender.
Ah, nice. I especially like your hat too.
Oh, thank you. That was a choice I made like years ago when I first started streaming. That was a hat I would usually wear IRL. I actually have that hat in my room somewhere, and it became. I kind of decided to make that as part of my design. And when my friend 13, who's my modeler and also designer, who decided to make a model of my bartender self, he included the hat. So that was great.
Ah, very nice of him.
Yeah, I figured I'd keep it because it's something that I just want to keep as like an identifying factor of my design. Even in my upcoming 2.0 redesign, I'm going to be keeping the hat.
Ooh, nice. Oh, yep. And on to our next question. Why did you choose the name you have?
Well, yeah, like I said, I started out as my original username on Twitch was Kazuo93, which is, I already explained the origin of Kazuo. And I kept saying, people just keep shortening it to Kaz. Also, when I welcome people to my stream, I say, welcome to the Kaz Bar. So when I finally became a VTuber, I also rebranded my name from Kazuo to Kaz Bar VT.
Ah, nice,
kind of stepping a little bit away from leaning too much into the weeb and just turning that into my channel name. So it's like Kaz Bar, the place, and then VT, VTuber, following the naming conventions of VTubers at the time.
Ah, nice. Oh yeah, speaking of the lore, what type of stuff you serve at the Kaz Bar?
Well, realistically, I don't have a clue. Despite me picking the name entirely on just like it sounded good, I have realistically no bartending experience other than just like, hey, I like this kind of, I like these drinks. So it's pretty much whatever you imagine, I can fictionally make.
Ah, I see, I see. So I guess that means you could probably also make champagne if you want to, huh?
Yeah, and, technically yes, and it's funny you mentioned because that's gonna be included in my lore. There, I have actually written lore. I can't reveal that lore yet because it's part of my 2.0 redesign, but I will be including that, like me making that as part of my lore eventually.
Ah, nice, nice. I'm looking forward to it.
You're gonna have to wait a long while though because the progress on my redesign and my lore writing is still very much in its early stages, so I don't think I'll be releasing it anytime soon, but just know that it's in the works, everyone.
Okay, okay. You heard it from the Kaz himself. It'll probably take about a good couple, a long time before we see that model in lore.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yep, on to our next question. What have you learned from being a VTuber so far?
Well, what I've learned from being a VTuber is, well, number one is, in a realistic viewpoint, it's still very much, just because you have a VTuber avatar doesn't mean that it's any easier being a streamer, because you're still gonna fall into the same, unfortunately, because of the boom in VTubers, you're gonna end up falling into the same pit hole of saturation that any content creator nowadays has. Streaming is so difficult nowadays that it doesn't matter whether you're a flesh tuber or a VTuber, it's gonna be any easier. It doesn't. It neither is that easy. It's just that being a VTuber, you definitely will cater a lot more to a specific subgenre of viewers, which is, you know, anime fans or fans of 2D stuff. So despite it being a trend and a boom for a while, you had to really embrace being a VTuber. Like you had to know that, like, yes, I wanted this. I like 2D stuff. I like anime. I like VTubing, and that's why I want to be a VTuber. You can't half-ass it. You can't just be a flesh tuber that's like, oh hey, that looks cool, let me try it. It's not a phase. It's not a trend. It's definitely something that if you are going to take up, you have to commit to, I guess.
Oh, yep. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Also, another thing I learned about VTubing is, yes, you can have lore. That doesn't mean that you have to go full chuny every time you stream. It's some people can. Some people can work it out. But you have to remember that at the end of the day, you're still a streamer, you're still a content creator. You still have to put yourself. You can't be so out of touch with reality that you let your characterization and lore get in the way of being, you know, believable, being relatable, because streamers still have to retain some level of being relatable, VTuber or not.
Indeed, indeed. Yep, in other words, be in character, but don't be in character to the point where you start forgetting that you're a person.
Yeah, like don't be delusional about it. Like I said, I may say that in my lore I am a bartender VTuber, but in reality I don't really mix drinks. And I still, you know, insert myself into my personality. I still have a personality. Yeah. Stream or VTuber or not, you need to have a personality. Because otherwise, if you're just gonna be like fake, ooh, I'm a 2D anime girl and that's all I am, just all about being cute, it's not gonna sit well with a lot of people. You have to have something else that can pull people per se. And there's not really anything else other than just being you. And that applies to being a VTuber or being just a regular streamer. It applies to everything.
Oh, yep. Very true. Very true. Alright then, let's move on to our next question, but I'll go ahead and talk about what I've learned as well.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I'd say the things I've pretty much learned the most is that that apart from being a streamer slash VTuber, you will also probably be lonely a lot of times, and sometimes the grind will be very, very, very long. And you also have to eventually reach out to people and ask them to help you with tech stuff as well, and figure out how to run OBS by yourself, and figure out how to make sure you're not as scuffed as possible, because, well, it's not a VTuber stream without scuff, but of course, the scuff can be bad to the point where it's unwatchable.
Oh yeah, I had that. That's happened. It's like a rite of passage for any VTuber. Scuff and like having at least one unwatchable stream at some point. And if people are gonna say, "Oh, I've never had that happen to me," oh, it will happen. It will happen.
It'll happen eventually. Technology has a way of messing with you. Yep, that's another thing I've learned as a VTuber. And I'd say, as far as personality-wise, I think I may have learned as much as would have to be, not everyone's gonna like your content, but it's important to embrace the people that do like your content.
Agreed. I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people will think that, oh no, if I'm not catering to everyone, if I don't follow a popular trend, then I'm not gonna be able to gain more fun. That's like, you don't have to keep focusing on gaining everyone's favor. Just focus on the ones that already like you for who you are, because that's what makes you unique.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, yep.
It's kind of something I'm still learning, and it's like just to bounce off of what you said, it's something I'm still learning, but I'm slowly embracing more stuff about myself that I'm trying to be a little less afraid and showcasing on stream, like being a dork, making more puns, talking more during streams, because I'm so quiet during streams, because in my head I'm like, no one wants to hear me ramble about this shit for like 5 minutes. Like, nah. Like, sometimes people do, and you don't know it, but people find that the most interesting part about some streams, when people can go on tangents or talk about something on the fly.
Oh, yep, definitely. It's also something I'm pretty much developing as I stream as well. Oh, yep, moving on to our next question. Did VTubing bring any changes to you in terms of personality or the new things you experienced?
To be completely honest, I don't think so. It helped me be a bit more expressive, I'd say, because I was stuck being a PNG tuber for quite a while before my friend made my model. It at most it opened up, like, I guess, a new level of interaction. But in terms of who I am, not really, because no matter what I was doing, whether it was being a flesh tuber, PNG tuber, or now a live 2D tuber, I'm still just me. And I try to present that as, not in the sense that I don't want to shake it up, but more of like, at the end of the day, this is the content, this is who we are as streamers. And so, I'm just doing my best.
Yep, understandable. Yep, as long as we're all doing our best, there's no complaints.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure you've had similar, you have a similar experience as well, Terence.
Oh, yep, definitely. I don't think I've really changed myself in terms of personality, but I always try to talk as much as I can, as well as branch out what type of humor I do, because I often do make a lot of jokes and puns too, but I also try to be serious when I can. But I also don't try to make it about myself to the point where it bores people too. I'd say nowadays
So yeah, go
I go on about content ideas and what type of stuff I do want to do for the future as well.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yep, let's move on to our next question. Did you ever once regretted VTubing?
Not really. Because despite me saying that it didn't really change much about me at the time, it was also that like VTubing, me personally would, and I'm not saying this to be a downer, but with me having that face, finally having a face that isn't my own online, that I can freely be myself in, it kind of made it a little easier, I guess. So I don't regret becoming a VTuber. What I do regret is not fully diving into it at the start, like because I'm still afraid of interactions with people. It's hard for me to want to commit into that a bit more. But lately I've had the chance to, so it's a learning experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, content creation as well as streaming and being a VTuber is a constant learning experience for me as well.
Exactly. It's like that for everyone. And like I said, my only regret is just not fully engaging with other VTubers about it.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I can understand that as well. I did kind of feel like I wish I had kind of started a little sooner as well, but I think it's important to always start somewhere instead of never starting at all.
Oh yeah, it's always going to be a learning experience. And if you do start, it's never too late to start. It's also never too late to learn.
Yep, on to our other question. Do you feel you must be very talented to be a good VTuber?
Define talent. Like, in what sense? Like, is there a specific skill that you're referring to?
Like a good singer, good artist, or probably a great personality or such. Like one of those.
I'd say yeah. I would say yeah, there is a level of talent that should go into, like, it's not just VTubing, but streaming in general. You do have to, because streaming is all about still being entertaining. And although, despite the talk I give about just being yourself on stream, you have to remember that you still have to present yourself, because you are putting yourself on a platform where people watch and interact with you. And you can't, well, okay, I can't even argue, and this is weird, I can't argue that you can't have an unlikable personality, because God forbid, there are streamers that I feel have very unlikable personalities, but they are sometimes also the most popular streamers. I'm just like, what is going on with the world? But
of course,
I guess that in itself is a talent, turning your what people would consider unlikable into something that other people find entertaining. So, if you're bad at video games, it doesn't matter. Some people will find it entertaining. Some people will cheer for you, will support your attempts at trying to beat something. You don't think you're a good artist? You can try. Like, people will also support people who are growing as artists, growing as singers, trying to explore new facets of talent. So,
yep.
If you think you're untalented at first, as long as you have the drive to entertain people, interact with people, and learn from people, I think anyone can be a streamer and anyone can be a VTuber. But as long as you do it for the right reasons.
Of course, of course. Like, don't expect to get popular out of nowhere. It's still gonna take a lot of work before you reach that level.
Exactly. I've been streaming for 4 years, and I had to start over on YouTube, on a very old YouTube channel that I've had since high school. And I went from like 300 followers on Twitch to now just like less than 100 on YouTube. But you know,
Yeah.
at least I'm still trying. And what matters is if you still want this, then don't give up. Like, keep doing it. Just do it for the sake of having fun, even, and people will gravitate to that. You'll be surprised at what people will find appealing or entertaining about your streams.
Indeed, indeed. All right, then. Let's move on to our next question. Fantastic answer, by the way.
Thank you. I'm sorry if my answers are very lengthy. I want to make sure that my words come out correctly.
Indeed, indeed. What's your favorite thing about being a VTuber?
That I'm an anime character. Not gonna lie, that is the one thing I love the most about being a VTuber. That I am an anime character.
Ah, nice.
As a weeb from high school years all the way until now, the fact that I am now a living, breathing 2D anime character on the internet is one of the things I love the most about being a VTuber. But you were talking about the concept of VTubing in general, is that you can be what you want to be. You can be anything. I've seen people who are literal garbage can VTubers. There's a ferret VTuber that I like watching. There's a dragon, there's dinosaurs. It's the space of VTubing is so vast that you can literally be anything. And as long as you have the creativity to pull it off, then you can be literally anything on the internet. I'm pretty sure one day someone's gonna make an internet VTuber. It's like, I am the internet. Yo, Microsoft, there's an idea. If you want people to use Edge, maybe make Edge a VTuber.
Yep, just don't make Edge an edgelord.
Oh gosh, I'm now just reminded of Opera GX and their VTuber.
Right. Oh, yep, and our last question for today. Any words for your fans?
Well, if you guys are here, hi, thank you guys so much for the support. I always appreciate the support you guys give, whether it's watching the stream, sharing the stream, or subscribing on my Twitch or donating. Like, I appreciate every single thing you guys do, and I would not still be doing what I'm doing today. I would not still be making what I'm making today if not for my community that I've grown for 4 years, and for those that have followed me on both platforms.
Ah, nice. That's right, folks. If you enjoy Cass's content, check him out.
I'm doing like I'm doing like a hand wave as if people can see me. It's like, oh, wait, I don't have that function in my model.
Yep. Yep, but I'd say that's probably like all the questions I have to ask. Did you have any questions for me as well?
Oh, well, yeah. Other than the talk show, like, you want to collab on anything else anytime soon? Like I said, I'm open right now to just like doing more things with other VTubers. I'd definitely love to interact more outside of this talk show.
Oh yeah, sure. You can probably send me a list of games and I'll try to match what you have. I'm still mostly limited to stuff that has crossplay, but if my laptop can handle anything that's low end, I can probably make that happen.
Well, the only crossplay I can think of at the moment is Division 2, but that is plagued with problems that I don't know if we'll be able to play properly.
Ah, I see.
I'll take a look at your channel though. It's like what streams there, what games you played there, and see if maybe there's something we can cross on.
Yep, sure, sounds good. Alright then, folks. I think now's a good time. Oh wait, did you guys, chat, did you guys have any questions for Kaz as well?
Yes, please, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yep. Oh. No questions then? Okay. Alright then, I think we can end here then.
It's a pleasure to be on your show, Terence. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yep, thank you for joining as well. All right then, folks, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream right here. This episode was a bit shorter than expected, but that's okay.
That was short. I actually thought that I had taken up too much time talking.
Oh, they're usually about like an hour and 30 to 2 hours. But that's okay. It usually depends on the conversation. Yep.
Well, that's good. At least we made the hour and a half mark.
Indeed, indeed. So yeah, folks, if you enjoyed today's interview, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more streams like this, and be sure to check out Kaz too. He's a really great guy.
And for those of you who are from my viewership, if you haven't checked out Terence yet, please give him a follow as well.
Yep, thank you. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter/X for stream updates as well as random nonsense. Also, hello, ES674. Yep, we're just about the end. Sorry you came at a bad time. Oh, yep, be sure to follow me on Twitter/X for random stream updates as well as other nonsense there. And you can also join my Discord for much of the same thing, as well as emotes that we can't use on YouTube till we get monetized. You can also follow me on Twitch as well, which will do some multiplayer streams there, which we'll have to use Restream for that so we can keep both YouTube and Twitch active. Well, with all that said, folks, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another interview, which is gonna be like really freaking early in the morning. Like 8 p.m. I mean 8 a.m.
Oh yeah, I saw you're actually going to be interviewing Marco. I've actually collabed with him in the past as well.
Ah, nice. So with all that said, folks, thank you for everything, and special thanks to Kaz for joining today.
And thank you again, Terence, for inviting me. It was great to be able to talk on your show.
Indeed. So until next time, folks, I will see you guys next stream.
Bye, everyone.
So did you have fun, Kaz?
Yeah, definitely had fun. Thank you. This was great.
Thank you. I'm glad you had fun.
For real though, like if looking at your channel, I think we can probably like I see Dog was there. I haven't played that in years.
Oh.
There's an idea.
Oh yeah, Dauntless is really great.
Monster Hunter Rise, I've been meaning to get that, but I have no money because I spend it on like other games.
Understandable.